Hello, my monstrosities. Hello once again. Today I bring to you a Reaper's Wager video. Something was itching in my mind to check up on Reaper's Wager. We've had fusion detachments do pretty decent lately. We have Devoted If You Need coming consistently second at Super Majors. We have Shadow Legion doing pretty well as well. Final day has been okay. So, I wanted to circle back to Reaper's Wager. I think I last talked about it a month ago when we saw what the new Harlequins do. And I went, those are like expensive and not that good for that expense. Now, um, do I think I've changed my mind on that? Probably not. But at the same time, as I've been reevaluating my list that contain or putting in units that are high investment, such as the troops that are now like 200 points for all of them, I figured it would be a fair shake to come back around to Reaper's Wager. And sure enough, another thing that was scratching my brain was, well, everybody looks for what Skari is going to talk about with Drukhari. What else is there? There's got to be something. And I'm like, wait, no. Cody Giroux, I hope I'm saying your last name correctly, and if I'm butchering the first name too, let me know, uh, has been doing well with Drukhari for quite some time now. Wonder what they're doing with their list. And sure enough, a week ago from the day that you all are seeing this video, Cody just won something. And apparently won something. I think I briefly reviewed this, but it's been a minute since I've looked at Drukhari stuff. But Cody just won something. And, even better, did me a favor. In the list name, answered a question that brought me to here. I was like, actually, let's see the list name. No DACA? No problem. Something just told me, if no more DACA's gone, shouldn't Drukhari be doing better, right? And we saw Skari handedly, now Skari is built different, uh, take down no more DACA? I mean, more DACA? But if it's gone, shouldn't Drukhari just be doing better given what the landscape of the meta is right now? And Cody, thanks for solving that quickly, answer wise. No DACA, no problem. So we have an Archon, two Beastmasters, Cabalite Warriors, Rats, Court of the Archon, two single Chronai, Chronos? Well, two single Chronos. Yeah. Small squad of Grotesque, Mandrakes, Scourges, two, max Talos units, a Shadow Seer with the troop, and a Void Weaver. Pretty simple. So, why do I think that Drukhari have a chance now? Quite frankly, people are putting infantry on the table. And the thing about Drukhari is that a good portion of their weapons have anti-infantry. So, if you can do that with movement, that's what I would assume would be doing better. Now, the other thing that I gotta admit, kind of confuses me, is if we look at Cody's list, this is the one from last week. Um, Going back here, there's been some slight tweaks, right? Was it this one? Yeah, one less Void Weaver. One less Void Weaver. Any other outstanding one? Right, one less Weaver. Goodness, can't say that. For another squad of Scourges, and going back further here, this is one of the lists that was, I gotta admit, annoying the hell out of me. How many people were like, "Yeah, I'll play Reaper's Wager and take none of the Harlequins." So, what we know is that Yvrain with the troop was good, right? It was good. Things changed. Now, it seems that a brick of the troops still is serviceable at least one time around. But it is important to note, looking at Cody's list here, that we're doing. Hmm. How do I best put this? We're bringing these, right? The Scout Sentinel profile is kind of what I do in my head. I know there's probably something better, but the Walker profile, where it's about T7, has some decent save, has some wounds, right? And I think we've entered a weird point in time in which if you can bring relatively cheap, right? Now, mind you, like Dragoons are about 75 points per, and Scout Sentinels, aren't they like 55 or 50? So the Talos are a bit more expensive on that front, but they do have a 5-up feel no pain. Um, but once you can bring something along these lines with Monster, I think we enter a unique position in which the things that people are bringing aren't necessarily efficient anymore. People are bringing things to kill infantry and kill, well, big monster and vehicle. Now, these are monsters, so the anti monster keyword will come in handy. But to that same point, as I was trying to make another video or research for another video, I noticed anti monster hasn't been around lately. Does it need to be around? Probably not. But I think there's some value in how inefficient your opponent's profiles become when you're bringing Taloses and Chronoses as a fair portion of the list. Now, I'm not saying that this is the end all be all and what did it. If anything, I think Drukhari players would probably tell me that double Beastmaster is where we start to see the annoyance for the opponent. Small squad of grotesque, mandrakes for scoring, and scourges. Do want to talk about the scourges because I I am surprised. I gotta admit, I am surprised that you take the small units of these. But let's come back to the Chronoses for a second here. Cronus is also 5-up Feel No Pain. Each time one pain token is removed from your pain token pool to empower one or more units. If one or more of those empowered units are within 9 inches of this unit, roll 1d6. On a 4-up, you gain 1 pain token. So, uh, kind of for 50 points and a 5-up Feel No Pain at T7, 3-up save, 6-up invo, and 7 wounds. Honestly, it reminds me of a topic I was just talking about tyrannage and how we've been seeing lists with double psychophage do well. Now, is it several lists? It was enough to catch my attention and go, what the hell is going on here? So, interesting that something roughly the same as that. Now, mind you, it's 45 points cheaper and 2 less toughness and 3 less wounds. But still a 5-up feel no pain. I think this also backs a theory I've been having with the game moving towards units that can kind of stay there and do a thing. Instead of lone ops, we're looking at one-off utility pieces that are going to help you play your game, stick around, and move things forward. And again, going to the Drukhari being good, right? Being, I think, good for the situation right now with Blast, ignores cover, or just ignores cover torrent. If you can start whittling out the infantry and scoring points and have units like this to kind of still keep the party going, I have faith, trust, and pixie dust in it. And I do want to talk about the Scourges because I noticed something about them lately. It's not like anything groundbreaking, it's really simple. Um, but I was wondering points wise why you don't bump them up to the 10 mans. We see in Cody's list that they're still the 5 mans. I'm wondering why you don't bump it up to the 10 mans for 50 points. And this is where I would like some of you all, or I would like anybody, to tell me the answer why. Because I have a guess, but I don't play Drukhari like that. Um, I noticed that only up to 4 Scourges can replace their Shard Carbine with a thing, right? So I guess it might not be worth spending the additional 50 points to have 5 models that can only have an anti-infantry 3-up assault weapon. Uh, Whereas you could just save those 50 points, make 4 Scourges have a Dark Lance or a Heat Lance, do the Deep Strike, Shoot, Scoot to boot, and Solarites with. Is it Blast Pistol? The Splinter Pistol, right? Is the one that people take for that. Actually, let's just go over here. Uh, doo -doo -doo. Solarite weapon scores Dark Lance. Solarite weapon? Let's see. Alright, I guess we just keep the Solarite weapon. And the Shard Carbine. Yeah, I mean, hey, if that's the go-to play, might as well, I see. But yeah, Dark Lances and do the thing. So when you have Scourges still able to be a menace, then you have Taloses, and this is the other thing that's like even better about what I think. Again, this is all a think because I don't play Drukhari. I just was really curious about how this is going on lately. You have a unit with Scourges that them being infantry deep striking to possibly pop tanks with their dark lances, or yeah, dark lances. We're not on heat lances. Duh. And to that point, why aren't we on heat lances? Why are we on dark lances? Dark lances versus heat lances. I mean, heat just has more. Oh, well, it's 36 inches, so I guess that gives you better angles. Twice the range. So yeah, with 3 units that can deep strike as infantry to get some dark lance shots in there to pop somebody's tanks, and then the monsters that can effectively pick up the infantry. And if I'm being honest, there's a good chance this works on elite infantry as well. More so, we're looking at the melee profile as well as the anti-infantry keyword. But then the twin Drukhari Haywire Blaster. Let's see what the loadout for the Taloses was. Yeah, Haywire Blaster, Liquefier Guns, Anti-Vehicle 4-up, Devastating Wounds, Twin Length, and the Torrents. Yeah, it seems like you just have your choice at a lot for kitting things out. And another thing that I just went over with a Votan video, and the thing that I should be making the anime video, I'll be honest, I completely forgot to make that video, is the weapon profiles. Now, mind you, none of this, I doubt any of this is groundbreaking for the Drukhari thing loadout right now, as far as me talking about it. But it is worth noting that when you can take these loadouts that successfully are targeting something that isn't targeting you. I like the Tyrannifex and Tyranids because it is the anti-monster vehicle monster, right? It is my Rupture Cannon is going to pop the thing that's trying to pop the rest of my monsters, okay? But if you have something like Talos, that is a monster that is picking up infantry, and infantry typically aren't well equipped to deal with monsters, there you go. And if you have infantry and line of scourges that have deep strike, move, shoot, move, right? Typically, a tank isn't equipped to pop them. It is trying to pop the bigger things. You are bringing the tank for the bigger things. Now, my Tyrannifex with a Rupture Cannon, we are just hoping that we get the shot on the other person first and going about it that way. But I really like Cody's list here because it's applying the offsets. Just a little bit of tweaks here. We're not seeing 5 million units of Cavalites and Rags, just one of each to keep things going, and maybe probably score some points on it in addition to helping out your Scourges and everything. And going up here, um, we're not talking about witches. We're not talking about witches. We're not talking about incubi. Now, okay, nobody was talking about incubi. But we're not bringing witches and Lilith. Uh, to try to do something that effectively you could do with the troop. And the fly really comes in handy with this entire list. I think that should also be noted that we're looking at a lot of flies, so you can't really get tied up while we're not also looking at the other thing that Drukhari is pretty good for, uh, transports. We're not looking at that. We're not looking at a bunch of transports. We're looking at, hey, you're on the ground. The things that are on the ground, the Beastmasters. Where are you, Beastmaster? Oh wait, do you not count as infantry? Sorry. Well, duh. I guess you would count as beast, right? And mounted. Uh, we're looking at things like a Beastmaster that can scalp 9 and get you forward pressure and then get everything a little bit wonky for you, while the Razor Wing Flux do have fly. But outside of that, we're looking at a flying list, right? We're looking at Kronos, Talos, and Scourges. Surprisingly, I guess no Void Raven Bomber, right? Uh, and if I'm being honest, I want to know when we get to including the Razor Wing Jet Fighter. Whoops, didn't mean to make that a new window, but a Razor Wing Jet Fighter. Why? I don't know. I think it's funny, but genuinely though, I think it has another play into the fact that blast with the Razor Wing missiles, anti-infantry 2-up blast. I think it would just make some things easier, but I can understand if it never sees play because hey, it is the weaker of the two aircraft. So if one aircraft is just like barely okay, I guess the weaker of the two probably won't be looked at. But an entire flying list with monsters and monstrous shooting for what's going on in Reaper's Wager. You give this thing access to sustained or lethals, or these things sustained or lethals and rerolls. Can't be fire overwatched. That's really good for the Scourges too. I would assume it's really good for the Scourges too because you can't stop them from delivering their damage, right? With scintillating tempo, your movement phase or your charge phase just after a Drukhari or Harley Quinn's unit from your army select to normal, advance or fallback move, set up on the battlefield, or declares a charge. So your unit that is deep striking, your unit of Scourges that is deep striking, uh, can't be overwatched. And if they are then going to do the hey, pop something, then come behind the wall after, yeah, that's annoying as shit. I would imagine, right? Possibly giving them sustained hits one. Uh, if your opponent had something in that moment to fire overwatch that unit, then just a unit of the troop with the shadows here, uh, with the troop. Let's say the troop. Uh, to kind of stay alive in the fight phase, a brick of them, then getting access to things like rerolls or lethals and anything like that. You know, it's it's interesting, and I like the direction of the list. I'm excited to see where it goes, and I wonder what it can beat. Because again, I'm thinking right now that with a third unit of Scourges, right? Can you? My mind is stuck on you have to prepare for Shadow Legion. That's where my mind is. Uh, I guess it probably should still be prepared to figure out Gilliman and Calgar. Can these things beat those things? I guess it's cheap enough that maybe, right? Maybe. Hmm. No, I think everything is in an interesting spot. And yeah, I guess that's not even considering pain tokens, really. Start of battle, get some pain tokens, and each time an enemy unit is destroyed, gain a pain token. Each time an enemy unit fails a battle shock test, gain a pain token. And those pain tokens give you access to rerolls, improved AP and melee on top of rerolls. outside of the rerolls that you had from playing Reaper's Wager. Yeah. Do I think that Drukhari are going to have that odd month where they were just winning several events and people were like, no, it's bad, I promise? It's just like, all right, you got to give it up. You got to give it up. But I don't think so. But I do think it would be interesting to see more Drukhari specialists uh, start having a good time. Like, let's see, now that Mordaka is out the way, and the other thing that I was kind of concerned about Mordaka as far as Drukhari goes is that's a lot of shot for a lot of little bodies, right? So going back to the mismatch thing, your Scourges aren't necessarily equipped for handling tank busters. I mean, they can, but it's not necessarily what they're going for, so it gets kind of weird, right? And Ludas and so on and so forth. Then you have a plethora of bodies to go back that way. You're going to pick up the Scourges. And tank busters are equipped to handle Talos and Kronos and things of that sort, and Beastmasters and all of these things, right? The loot is more so on the Beastmasters front. Flash gets too, but the tank busters are essentially what I was saying about Scourges, where it is a unit that is killing a unit that isn't designed mostly to kill it. Right now, don't get me wrong, an Exocrine will pick up both of those units, but at the same time, uh, I have to hope that I get the drop on you first. It's Blast. A monster can't have those angles and all those things. So I am more equipped to hitting the sluggish units that are there. But if you leave a toe out on your infantry unit, yeah, it'll go pop. Same with the Maliceptor, right? But if either of those touch me, blast, all these things. So I'll end off by saying, Cody, thank you for answering the question that I was having in my head. Coincidentally, if there's no DACA, what does that do for Drukhari? Apparently, lets them win. And we're seeing a list free of transports. Hell, any vehicles? There's one Void Weaver. I mean, not to say there's completely void of transports. It's void of Drukhari level of transports, right? We're not seeing a bunch of Raiders and Venoms. We see none of those, actually. It is, hey, what if I take a bunch of things that can fly, not get body block? Grotesque should be in the conversation. Mandrakes are good for scoring as well. Um, in my head, Mandrakes are like the double lictors of Tyrannid's list, but, I guess I should acknowledge there's a second squad of Mandrakes. And I don't know what the bulk of everything is, but if I had to guess, looking at this list, it'd be Talos, Scourges, and Kronos. Maybe Grotesque too. Let's actually pull up the last Homunculus Coven unit over here, Grotesque. I don't have faith in these, but for 80 points, I mean YOLO, right? 80 points, 3 models with a 5-up Feel No Pain and T5, save of a 6-up, and 4 wounds, fight on death, right? But I don't know. I don't get the Grotesque inclusion in general. Like, I just feel like Grotesque aren't that great. But hey, if they work out for somebody, I like to see it. So yeah, Cody, thanks for answering the question. And will more Drukhari follow this path? I hope so, because it does start to raise a bit of a question about the player base, where you have two names that are not okay. That's disrespectful to everybody else here. So sorry about that, everybody. But when you have two names consistently pop up playing the faction, you start to wonder how come nobody else in the faction does it to the same uh, frequency as Cody and Scary, right? You start to wonder, like, hey, I feel like if these two people can keep playing Drukhari to a high level and beating the other things, does that mean that there's a Drukhari issue, or is that a player base abandonment issue? And if you just need enough specialists, because some of these factions are like okay enough, but I think you have to start wondering when more specialists go over there and start doing interesting things. So I like to see that Reaper's Wager has play. I didn't even think about scintillating tempo Scourges until this video. So Yeah, that sounds annoying, and I hope that more things happen. So hey, if you like the video, like it. Got a comment for me, comment. And until next time, peace out, my monstrosities.